Look at that washboarding there. It's really cool how even keeled it's keeping me. Watch this. We're going around this corner right now, about 70 miles per hour. Emergency situation. Look at that. That's me standing on the brakes. And the three-wheel ABS brings me to a stop so quickly. And even though I was turning, there's no situation where I'm sliding straight into traffic or all of a sudden the tires lock up and I'm going down. No, I mean, having these big three, almost car-style wheels make for such immediate stops. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and this is the 2023 Can-Am Spyder RT Sea to Sky Edition. It's the top dog of Can-Am's three-wheeled on-road machines, and it's a little bit of a weird circumstance in how I came to ride this for about a week and a half or so. Alyssa and I just scheduled an impromptu trip up to Sequoia National Park, about 5 hours or so from our place here, and I was like, you know what, it's going to be a crazy holiday weekend. Let's get some sort of, let's make it more fun. Let's get some sort of bike or something like that. And this is actually what I was able to get my hands on. And when I first started taking a look at it, I was like, okay, this is going to be really, really good because it offers about the pinnacle in touring features for any sort of machine like this. So let's start off by going through what it is and what it provides, and then we'll talk a little bit about the riding situation from behind the handlebars. First things first, if any of you are not familiar, Can-Am is the only one on the market making these sort of what I like to call on-road snowmobile sort of machines. They're two wheels in the front, one in the rear, and the F3 and RT models here, that really the Spyders, are powered by a 3-cylinder 115 horsepower engine. Plenty of power for something like this, even moving all of its weight, but it doesn't exactly feel like a motorcycle. In fact, I had Can-Am's Ryker model, which is a smaller, more sport-oriented version of their three-wheeled platform here, and Nathan and I did a comparison with that in my V-Strom 650, and they're very different sort of riding experiences, and there are very different life situations in which I would purchase one, the three-wheeler, or the other, a motorcycle. And that theme continues here with the Spyder models. This doesn't ride like a motorcycle, even though it gives you a lot of the same feelings, that out in the elements and the wind in your hair. It also prevents you from certain motorcycle sort of feelings and activities, and we'll talk about those from behind the handlebars as well. But in some of the things you give up not being on a motorcycle, you also gain aspects, such as a frunk. So when we were planning on doing our trip here, we obviously needed a whole bunch of space to put things, because it was going to be a long trip, and I was blown away by the size of this frunk here. This is my airbag jacket here by Helite, and you can see this thing's long. I mean, it's a large jacket, and it fits all the way down in there. I was absolutely blown away with the amount of things we were able to pack in there. I think I had like a tent and an air mattress, quite a lot of things all packed in the front. Then, moving on to the sides, you have these side cases on both sides. That's giving you a good amount of space as well. I was a little bit surprised that there's a decent amount of dead space around the plastic area here, but these are some gloves to scale. Quite a lot of room in there, matching on the other side. And then, on top of all that, you get this big rear cargo area that is lockable. Pop it open, and you can legitimately fit helmets in here. A lot of top cases will be like, oh yeah, you can fit a full face helmet. Not really, not a large one, not most of your quality type helmets. This one, you get a ton of storage space. I was really impressed by that back area. Okay, so we had storage all set and ready to go. Next were creature comforts, and looking through the Sea to Sky brochure and the online and everything like that, I knew this is about the best we were going to get as well, because this seat is made of dual density foams, and it's a little bit harder in certain places and a little bit softer in some places. So I knew Alyssa was going to be particularly comfortable on the bottom and the back. And then these pegs right here, not even pegs, they're straight up footrests, are adjustable with, I think this was a 14 millimeter socket, and you can adjust the height of it, which is good because Alyssa's not particularly tall. And she's got heated seat and heated hand grip adjustments right here. So she was able to hop on the back and sit comfortably. I mean, this is a nice place to be. It really, really is. And you got this good stadium seating situation, so you can kind of see over the driver. It's a nice place to be. And then moving up into the driver compartment, Same situation. I've got power adjusted windshield. I've got these side vents that will actually channel air either toward me, or if it's cold, like that, away from me. Very easy to do, right on the fly. That's definitely nice to have. I've got heated grips. I've got a heated seat. I've got a 6-speaker sound system, 2 back here and 4 up here. So I was enjoying driving around and listening to the music. A little bit of storage up here as well. That's where I keep my phone, my garage door opener, and there's a little, there's actually an aux input for audio right there, and then also a USB port for plugging in your devices. Huge floorboards for my feet, so you can kind of put your feet anywhere all around there. It allows them to be comfortable in various situations. And then over here is your brake. So you accelerate right here, and then brake right here. Nothing over here, nor sort of clutch. We'll talk about the transmission that's in this, because that's a bit of a talking point for me. Bringing up the screen. This is something I don't want to get into too heavily, because for 2024, Can-Am upgraded all the Spyder models to have a much larger, higher definition screen with Apple CarPlay support. So I'm not a huge fan of the interface here. I think it's a little dim. Right now it's in dark mode for some reason, but it's got a light mode that you'll see it transfer over to, maybe once we get riding. You get a lot of information like your fuel, your engine temp, and you've got a screen over there in which you can control your media and other settings on the bike. But I would really be looking forward to trying the 2024 system. So something to keep in mind if you're thinking about holding out. But you can control that either, I don't think this one's a touchscreen. I think the new one has touchscreen abilities, but this one you control either right here or down here, or the passenger can actually cycle through some of the things back there as well. I think it's just audio controls. That's pretty nifty. All right, let me pop my airbag jacket out of the front, get on my gloves. Let's go for a ride. If any of you are safety nerds like me, know that you can pop the Helite Turtles ripcord right here underneath the seat very easily, and then it goes onto my airbag vest here, and if I were to get thrown off, it would inflate, protecting my vital organs and keeping my head from flailing around. Kind of braces everything up there. Gives me a little extra peace of mind riding these exposed vehicles around. Startup process. Tap the mode button over here. Brake. Starter. Pretty mechanical sort of sound from this powertrain. Let's talk one of my few pet peeves of the machine right here off the bat, the shifting situation. This is a semi-automatic transmission, which means it takes care of the stop and go for you, and it takes care of the downshifting for you. And by it, I mean the computer and the machine. But you still have to upshift on your own. And I really don't understand the point of that. This is a $30,000+ machine as equipped, and you've got the technology in here to shift for you. So why does the driver have to do it on their own? It doesn't add to the riding experience. If anything, it detracts, because you're out driving around enjoying nature or the paying attention to the riding situation, and you got to pay attention to pressing the button whenever it's you think it's the right time to do so. It's strange to me. It really is. And on top of that, Can-Am says that majority of Spyder purchases, I don't know if it's Spyders or Spyders and Rikers together, a huge chunk of them are absolutely new to power sports. So they're coming in, they might have not had anything with a manual transmission before. Many of them are women, actually. Nearly half of three-wheel purchasers are identify as female, if you will. And a lot of them, I imagine a lot of shoppers are not going to be super familiar with operating a manual transmission, or at least I'm speaking from anecdotally. My wife Alyssa, she knows how to drive a stick, but she still doesn't fully vibe with and understand the concept of when shifting is most optimal, like when you should do it. So I'm not saying that people can't learn. It's just you have this kind of newer market coming in and not too familiar with power sports. Why not just make this thing fully automatic instead of making me press the buttons and do it anyway? Come on, just release the parking brake. Let's go. But you can see it gets off the line very smoothly there. And then off you go. And you press with your thumb on this plus button to shift up, and then way on the back there, with your index finger, you press the minus button to shift back down. However, like I said, if you get going too slow, the vehicle will downshift for you. Once you get it right, you can really get a smooth riding experience out of the Spyder. It's just strange because, again, this is such a luxury sort of machine. I mean, you've even got self-canceling turn signal there, and yet I've got to shift my own gears on a nearly automatic machine. It's just strange to me. So I said the shifting situation is one of my few pet peeves with the bike. And the other one is not even necessarily a pet peeve, it's just an observation with what riding something like this is like compared to a motorcycle. On a two-wheeled motorcycle, you get a very natural to your body experience where you kind of lean and then the whole machine leans with you, and you go around a corner and it feels very natural, and the forces, the centrifugal forces, push your butt into the seat because you're on a lean. Now with this, when you take corners, there's no lean happening, so any as you change direction, any momentum you had in that direction wants to continue that way, and there's no counteracting force, so you sort of slide off of it. And it's not as big of a deal from the driver, because you kind of have these handlebars here to balance and steady yourself, and then you're kind of subconsciously leaning into the corner anyway, kind of counterbalancing it. But where we ran into an issue was actually Alyssa on the back seat. The passenger doesn't have as much warning to how you're going to steer or turn, and they're not naturally leaning the same way. So on something like this, as opposed to a motorcycle, she's not benefiting from any of the machine's lean that I'm providing, so she was really getting uncomfortable with the sensation that she was going to fly off. And I'm not even talking about like high-speed aggressive cornering or anything. I'm just talking about simple curves in the road. We'll see here once we get going for a little bit. Even if you were just, say, turning on the highway, for example, there are natural corners that you have to go around, and they're a little bit strange on this. So here's a perfect example, coming up the road, and there's a corner. I'm just applying light steering, which I should say it is powered steering, so it's quite easy to do. And that sensation was making Alyssa feel like she was going to fly off the back. She couldn't simply sit back there and relax and feel the natural sway and lean of the motorcycle. So that, strangely enough, is one of the huge factors on why we didn't end up taking this on our camping trip. We were able to pack just about everything we needed for the trip. It was going to be a good setup for us, but she decided she really wasn't comfortable. It was actually making her stomach upset. So I really don't want that to come across as a knock against the Spyder per se. I was looking forward to taking it, but it's something to consider depending on, like, I guess just go experience riding one. Can-Am provides a lot of situations and demos and ways for you to try it out. So if you're thinking of putting on big miles onto something like this, give it a try. Oh, go, Sentra, go. It's still... Okay, all right. I highly recommend go and try one out. And as a driver, I quite enjoy it. But it's possible that as a passenger, it might feel strange to you. As I'm stuck behind this Sentra, it brings to mind another aspect that I don't particularly love about this versus something like a smaller motorcycle, is here in Southern California, you're legally allowed to lane filter and lane split, lane share, technically speaking. And that's not something that you're going to be able to do on a vehicle like this that's nearly as wide as a compact car like that. So one of the big advantages in risking your life and limb riding a motorcycle is that lane splitting situation where you can go in between lanes and get up to the front of traffic, and if things are stopped, you can kind of make your way through. That's a bit eliminated here with the Spyder, so that is something to consider as well if you're seeking an advantage that motorcycles provide in a place like California. You're not going to get it with this one. I've got to say, for being such a large machine, especially considering the weight compared to a lot of bikes, this thing is still a ton of fun to hustle around. The engine is not the most charismatic, but it's fun to wring out. It's got a good amount of shove. And I really enjoy getting up onto the handlebars of these. I experienced the same thing with the Riker. It's a bit dull to sort of just putz around on, but it's fun to push. Some of the more sport-oriented models, the Spyder F3s, are going to give you a sport drive mode. The RT doesn't have that. It simply has normal and then eco if you want to save some fuel, which is a bit tough to do with this because it drinks gasoline. Premium gas, I should add. Ironically, I was just beginning to compliment how good the wind protection is on the Spyder here, and my GoPro overheated. This is the first time I've ever had that happen on a motorcycle. It just goes to show you how there's virtually no wind hitting my face, especially with the windshield up into a taller position. It's nice. I can essentially ride with my shield up. Just kind of have it down right now to help with the audio. Not only does that big windshield help with keeping you comfortable at highway speeds, but I actually got the opportunity to ride this around in the rain last week and shooting the Winding Road video, and virtually no rain got on my body or my helmet. It was really impressive. The rain was just heading all past me. And that leads me into a huge advantage of these Can-Am three-wheelers over traditional motorcycles, and that is inclement weather situations. If I lived somewhere that got a lot of rain or somewhere that got snow in part of the year, and I wanted to be able to ride an on-road recreational machine, this is where I would go. Absolutely. I mean, geez, this thing's got heated grips, heated seats, this big old bit of wind protection, and it's safe to ride. You're not going to slip out and fall in some sort of icy type of situation. Not only that, but watch this. We're going around this corner right now, about 70 miles per hour. Emergency situation. Look at that. That's me standing on the brakes. And the three-wheel ABS brings me to a stop so quickly. And even though I was turning, there's no situation where I'm sliding straight into traffic or all of a sudden the tires lock up and I'm going down. No, I mean, having these big three, almost car-style wheels make for such immediate stops. And even if there were ice or there were snow or a wet road, I'd still be able to make a stop like that. Alright, so what if you're hitting a campsite or some sort of cottage and you got to go down a little bit of a dirt road? How does the Spyder RT handle that? Let's find out. I'm doing this a bit for my own fun because I've taken the Riker down some dirt roads, and I know that low traction situations are actually some of the most fun for this platform because of being able to hang that rear end out. So again, sand. Look at that. You think I would have been able to stop that fast on a bike? Absolutely not. The suspension on this RT model is really impressive. It's something that you don't even really think of on road because it's just doing its job so well and the roads around here are so good. But coming into some of this washboarded, broken, sort of half dirt, half asphalt situation, I'm so smooth. I'm actually really, really impressed. You do have traction control to keep that rear wheel from getting you in a lot of trouble if you're a bit of a novice. Where you do have to be a little bit careful is ground clearance. This RT model doesn't necessarily have the most of it. So if you got any big logs or rocks or whoops, you got to be a little bit careful because the suspension's tuned fairly soft. At the end of the day, it wants you to be comfortable on road. Look at that washboarding there. It's really cool how even keeled it's keeping me. I simply would not feel as safe going down a road like this, especially as any sort of newer rider on a motorcycle as I do on this Spyder. There's just no way. So you can see what happens if you cook it a little too hard coming around a corner. The whole thing slams on the brakes and slows you down, but it does brake pretty violently. Obviously a lot less detrimental than if you were to low side a motorcycle or just simply slide out, but it can catch you off guard sometimes. Here's the thing. If you're a veteran rider and you live in beautiful sunny SoCal, this probably isn't going to be the right machine for you. Not to say that some people might not still enjoy its benefits, the large amounts of storage, the ease of riding, and the creature comforts. But realistically, if you've got beautiful weather pretty much all the time, and you're someone who is used to and really craves the raw feeling and the very direct feeling of a traditional motorcycle, this is probably not going to be the right machine for you. You just got to be honest with yourself and don't knock it for what it can provide to someone who's newer to the sport and who might live in a more inclement climate sort of situation. Not even getting into anyone who might have any sort of body issues that would prevent them from riding a traditional motorcycle, but there are a lot of situations in which I could see myself getting one of these Can-Am 3-wheel machines and stepping all the way up to this Sea to Sky RT model is the biggest, baddest one of the bunch. So thank you all so much for watching. Thanks to Can-Am for giving us time behind the handlebars on this one. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, Sea to Sky on.